Hi, and welcome to the monthly Kickstarter roundup for June from Rule of Carnage. Really busy month this month on Kickstarter. Loads of great projects, lots that I haven't been able to fit in the roundup. So I know I often say this, but really, if there's nothing in the roundup that suits you, please take a look on Kickstarter this month because some really great projects have had to drop out. So we've got a game project, we've got some accessories, we've got physical models, we've got STLs. I'm going to jump straight in with that game project, and it is The Survivors No More Childhood starter set. So this is a starter set of physical minis and rules for playing a zombie survival miniatures game. 1 to 8 players. So, you know, that's really interesting. So it's a soloable, or I guess sort of PvPvE game, which is really cool to see. That's a nice option. A lot of the time, I think, particularly for sort of smaller indie mini games, it can be hard to find people who are going to sort of want to play through a full campaign or story with you. So this is a story campaign, narrative driven, soloable zombie survival minis game. So I think that's a really great idea. It looks like a really nice set. The minis look cool, and you've got all sorts of bits and pieces and terrain. And like I say, anything that has that sort of environmental threat so that you can solo it can be really convenient for play, particularly campaign play. Maybe you can't always get together for like the official group game, but you can all sort of separately play solo games. So yeah, lots of options here. Cool looking game, nice looking set, well worth checking out if you are in the market for a zombie survival game or a solo game, a campaign game, a narrative game. Lots of boxes ticked by this one. Okay, moving on from our game campaigns, we've got an accessories campaign this month, and it is Model Painting Specialised Custom Brushes by Carthage Must Be Destroyed. So there's actually a couple of brush campaigns live on Kickstarter at the time of recording. This is one I've picked out partly because Carthage Must Be Destroyed are a reliable repeat creator that I've featured on the channel quite a few times. They do waterslide decals that they're very popular. Partly because these brushes are very specialised for minis painting. Often what you get are high quality sort of artist style brushes that tend to sort of, you know, be really great and great for painting, but not cover some of the more sort of niche things that you want to do with a minis paintbrush. This set is much more, as I say, specialized. They've got some specific brushes for things like stippling, dry brushing, super detail, etc, etc. Well worth checking this out. This is, I would say, like a utility set of brushes. Obviously there are the sort of the standard sort of you know, basic detail brushes, but there are some bits and pieces in here that you're not going to sort of pull out constantly, but when you want them for a specific job, for a specific miniature, they're going to be absolutely perfect to have. It's about having like the right tools for the job. So well worth checking this one out if you want those sort of more niche options for your brushes and you want to sort of complete your painting set. Okay, second up for accessories campaigns, I've actually got 2 of them this month, is Print and Roll Trenches and Battlefields. So this is a texture roller campaign, which come up very often. You often see texture rollers on Kickstarter. For that reason, I don't often sort of pick them out unless they're sort of particularly interesting or it's a bit of a slow month. This one I picked out because it is very interesting, very cool. So you often get texture rollers that are like streets, roads, walls, things of that nature. This one is sort of yeah, trenches and battlefields, and it has some really cool effects. So there's a roller that's like a split duck walk and sandbags. There's a roller that is a battlefield with bodies on it. So these are rollers that are really going to put together a very sort of thematic trench warfare style board in like no time at all. Obviously Trench Crusade is, you know, the £500 gorilla in the room at the moment. If you are looking to put together a large or quick or multiple Trench Crusade boards, these rollers are going to absolutely be perfect for that. Really sort of, as I say, the roller with like bodies in the mud, very grimdark, you know, very suitable for Trench Crusade, and for a texture roller to have that sort of detail and interest in it, I think is super cool. So if you are looking to put together, you know, a set of World War, you know, style trench boards, great for that, great for historicals. If you're specifically looking for something, like I say, to put together large or quick Trench Crusade boards, definitely check out this campaign. Really interesting set of rollers, well worth giving a look over. Okay, moving on from our accessories campaign, we've got some physical model reward campaigns this month, and first up is Space Aussies 2 Mechanised Kangaroo by Victoria Lamb. A little while ago, I featured a Victoria Lamb project on the roundup. They were good enough to send me some minis, and in fact, one of them has ended up being a mini that's been pictured in Pukeapocalypse. So I can first of all recommend them personally as being really cool, very detailed, you know, nice to paint, really lovely sort of top quality minis. This particular set I'm picking out and featuring because it's such a fun, different sort of unusual set of minis. So as the campaign title suggests, this is the second of their Australian themed set. So this is a squad of Aussie looking combatants. So these could feel somewhere in a sort of Imperial Guard army, sort of sci-fi setting. I think they could work fairly happily in certain sort of post-apocalyptic or with some maybe kit bashing, possibly historicals. The forces are a sort of semi-mechanized, so they're engineers, things like that, sappers, also tanks, artillery, heavy weapons. So this is the second of their Aussie themed sets. So these are filling in the more sort of mechanized heavy weapon sort of end of the units. If you want the other bits and pieces, you can pick up them from the previous campaign, which is included on this campaign, I should say. Yes, like I say, really fun, interesting thematic pieces from a very high quality producer and a 100% reliable repeat creator. So well worth checking out and giving a look over. If you want something sort of in the ballpark of a as I say, Imperial Guard 40k style army, but with a bit of theme, a bit of a sense of humour, and just, a bit of fun to it. Second and last up for our physical model rewards this month, we've got Space Fantasy Frogmen Reinforcements by Red Bard Games. So apparently this is a second campaign, although I think the first one passed me by, according to the page. It's about a year ago, for a set of space sci-fi style lizardmen. I would say there's definitely a feel of a sort of 90s GW slant army, but with a sort of fun, slightly camp sci-fi feel to it. So if you are a lover of that sort of old Hammer style, if you like things that have a bit more sort of fun and sense of humour to them, and you're looking to put together a sci-fi force that doesn't look like anybody else's, this is an absolutely great campaign. There's enough minis in here for, I would say, a small to mid-sized 40k style force. Obviously, you can double up on units and fill in some bits and pieces. Like I say, just fun, interesting, weird, slightly campy, like I say, with that real sort of old Hammer style to them. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more tongue-in-cheek, like I say, something that's going to look like nobody else's army, if you like sort of warband style, sci-fi, indie gaming, miniatures agnostic stuff, This is an absolutely fantastic campaign. Really lovely minis, great sort of, again, sense of humour, sense of fun to them. Yeah, lots of different unit types, lots of bits and pieces to fill in, sort of lots of different units. This is a fun campaign just to stop by and have a look at the units and figure out what you would use what for in a particular army. So yeah, stop by the campaign, I think, at an absolute minimum, and I'd suggest a back on this one. Okay, moving on from our physical model rewards to our STL files this month. We've got a few as usual. First up is Wild Animals African Savannah by Beastforge. So I'm featuring this campaign simply because this is such an unusual set of minis. We do get sort of wild beast, wild animal campaigns on Kickstarter sort of intermittently, but I think these are a particularly handy bunch of minis. So as I say, they're African savanna minis. We've got lions, hyenas, antelopes. I think if you're looking for something to be a thematic threat within a sort of game played within a sort of African savannah style setting, this is super cool. I think if you're looking for a bit of detail, something around the sort of peripheries of a combat or a skirmish where some sort of unusual events are going to happen and work in, I think these are really cool for that. This is one of those campaigns that I'm definitely looking to actually back. So I just wanted to pick them out as something that's sort of unusual, thematic, interesting. If it fits to a sort of skirmish game that you are interested in, these are the sorts of minis that don't come up super often. Well worth picking up now while you have the opportunity. Yeah, I think really fun, really interesting, and really suggestive of sort of special rules, house rules, scenarios you might want to write for yourself to sort of mix up sort of skirmish gaming sort of that could be set or is set within that sort of setting. And also I think great opportunities for some weird kit bashing, particularly if you're interested in things like, I know, if you're playing alien zoology, you want sort of a bunch of beasties that you can maybe like mess around with either digitally or physically. Great campaign for picking up for that sort of thing. So yeah, well worth checking out, well worth considering what you could use these for in maybe your sort of pre-existing gaming library. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got Black Sons of Loyola Confession Through Fire campaign by Proxy Realms Gaming. So I've just included a few non-terrain campaigns this month. This is one of them. So obviously there's been a rash of Trench Crusade adjacent campaigns over the last few months. I try and not pick out every single one of them and sort of choose the ones that are most interesting, the sort of the cream of the crop. And I think for this month, this is the most fun, interesting, weird, grimdark Trench Crusade campaign around. So yeah, some obviously very twisted, grimdark, but I would say not over the top like weird mutation, but stuff that like looks right but wrong at the same time. Sort of hard to explain, but I think well worth stopping by the campaign if you are in the market for that Trench Crusade adjacent, grim, dark, sort of nasty, semi-religious warrior thing going on. There's obviously a lot of it about at the moment. Like I say, this is what I'm picking out this month as the best currently available. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got Under Empire Vermin, Ratman Fantasy Football Teams and Army by Fellowship Games. So we get fantasy football, Blood Bowl style teams, semi-regularly on Kickstarter. This is a particularly interesting one because this is a set of Ratman, Skaven, whatever you want to call it, miniatures that can work as a Blood Bowl fantasy football style team or as units on the battlefield. There are a lot of minis in this campaign. Often fantasy football sort of themed campaigns, you obviously get enough to fill out a football team, which is plenty of miniatures, but isn't a massive amount if you're looking at a larger force. In this one, there are lots of different themed sets of the Ratmen, so you know they're all sort of different styles and settings, from plague to pirates, so you know, lots and lots and lots of actual minis in there. Plenty for a good sized warband skirmishing style army. Obviously there are some that are very themed to a sort of Blood Bowl setting with the ball and etc, etc, but there are plenty of the larger, like the rat ogres and blitzers and such like, that absolutely are going to work either way, and there's some switch up options to make them work either on an army or on a football field. So yeah, really interesting campaign, lots of options in here, clearly, because you could make, you know, I think like 5 or 6 full different Blood Bowl teams, and you can have a very large, interesting, thematic, interesting, unusual Skaven Ratman style warband up to decent sized army from this one. So yeah, well worth giving a look over and thinking through and just seeing the different styles and theming that are available in this campaign. Okay, moving on to some terrain STL file campaigns. First up, we've got Halloween House by Illustralia. So Illustralia are a repeat creator that I try to feature when they coincide with when one of the videos is coming up, because they do such lovely themed, detailed miniatures. I've got their Bates house, not the motel, but the house from the Psycho movies printed up, and so many sort of detailed features within it. Really lovely sort of exquisite model. So the house in this one is the house from Halloween. And there's a set of minis alongside it, so a Michael Myers style mini, and some of the other characters from the movies. As always, incredibly detailed. So the attention to detail in the Illustralia campaigns is what always makes me want to feature them in the roundup, and this one is no exception. So if you are specifically a fan of Halloween and you happen to want the minis in the house to maybe game through a Halloween style scenario, absolutely perfect for that. The campaign actually has a nice little list on it of minis games that their stuff would be suitable for, and yeah, it's the sort of, you know, the usual suspects of 7TV, Pulp Alley, Perilous Tales, all those sort of very thematic sort of small minis count games that are trying to tell a story, particularly ones that have a horror adjacent feeling to them. I also think, you know, just at this point they have a lot of contemporary style houses in their range, all of which are beautiful, all of which are really brilliantly modelled, and while their attention to detail is such they put out a single house each campaign, I reckon by now there's enough there to fill out a good sized tabletop for you to be able to play some, you know, contemporary setting, larger mass battles with their stuff. And you know, I think that would be an absolutely stunning tabletop, and give loads of options for, you know, interesting sort of cover, house searching, all that sort of stuff, you know, rules. So well worth checking out if you're looking for something that's a smaller character sort of focused game, but you know, worth considering going through their back catalogue and picking up for a very detailed skirmish game. I could see these being brilliant for a sort of COIN style, insurgency style game with a contemporary setting where you want to sort of be able to go in and out of houses, find hostages, you know, things like that. So yeah, loads of options here. You know, I think again these would work great for sort of post-apocalyptic style setting larger games. So yeah, really great stuff, incredibly detailed, well worth checking out, and also well worth going through their back catalogue at this point. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got Medieval Bulwark, a modular STL terrain kit by Grimskull Games. So, Grimskull Games, very much a friend of the channel. You might have seen Torch and Shield, which we featured, and Mike and myself have played on the channel, which they kickstarted a little while ago. Complete fulfillment for that. Great game, lovely set of minis and bits and pieces. If you haven't checked it out, do go by, give it a look over. Nominated for Best Minis Game at UKGE this year. So it's a really great rule set, well worth looking over. This specific campaign is for a large sort of medieval set of city walls. This is a solid utility piece of terrain, very modular. You know, you could put these walls together in multiple ways. You could have them obviously, you know, set up around a city in multiple ways, but also the internals have different options for the stairs, the towers, the covered walkways, open walkways, all the bits and pieces you could possibly want. So this is one of those campaigns where if you don't have something like solid medieval walls somewhere in your STL library, just pick this one up. This is a sort of no-brainer. It's such a utility set because it's modular, because it's the thing that's going to turn up in every fantasy setting that you're ever going to come across. And, you know, with a bit of mucking around, you can make it work in plenty of other settings. I mean, walls like this exist, you know, where I live. If I was going to sort of be doing a contemporary game, I might consider popping these into something, you know, of that sort of setting. So yeah, absolutely solid, the sort of terrain that everybody needs to have in their collection somewhere. So check your collection. If you don't have this sort of medieval sort of wall setting, pick this one up. The modularity means that it's the only one that you're ever going to need, and it's the sort of thing that you definitely do need. So give this one a look over, and I strongly suggest a back on this one. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got Where Legends Fight Volume 11 STL Files by Sync Ratio Systems. So I featured Sync Ratio Systems Where Legends Fight campaigns quite a few times on the channel, just because they do such interesting stuff, and I really mean this. So what they tend to do is sort of 5 different themed terrain sets in a single campaign, and they are super themed, like, you know, really cool. So this one, the ones that jump out to me of the 5, there's a sort of haunted theatre set, and it's available in the sort of non-haunted version, and then the version with like tentacles coming out and ghosts playing instruments. There's a bullet train set, which is absolutely fantastic. So much detail. All of their stuff always has like all the little bits and pieces, all the greebles and extras and stuff that you want to drop in there to sort of really theme a train set. So like the bullet train has a luggage cargo section with like little mopeds fixed down in it. Absolutely stunning. I think I usually recommend picking these up because the stuff they do is so unusual, so thematic that, you know, if at some point you're thinking, I really want to do a bullet train scenario, it's not going to turn up unless you've already got it. So swing by, give it a look over, just because the stuff is so fun and so interesting and so thematic. I'm sure that once you've looked at it, you'll start thinking, I'm going to have to write a scenario of a haunted theatre now. Strongly suggest backing this one, getting it in the library. You know, you might not use it for, you know, months, and then when you need it, you really, really need it. So yeah, give this one a look over. Repeat creator, reliable creator, really interesting, fun stuff. Well worth checking out. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got Under Nidus District 28 3D Printable Grimdark Sci-Fi Terrain by Corvus Games Terrain. So Corvus were good enough previously to send me through a set from one of their other campaigns, and one of the easiest to assemble and most solid pieces that I've ever had, and super modular. So like really quick to put together, easy to store, and easy to sort of rearrange in different settings and types. This particular set, as the campaign title says, Grimdark Terrain, really nice Grimdark Terrain in that you've got lots of walkways, lots of sort of flat top buildings, lots of opportunity to have height and sort of levels, and you know, the option to move around and get some use out of some of those unusual elevation and line of sight rules that a lot of the time we don't sort of manage to get into our sets. Yeah, super modular. So this is another of those campaigns where you pick this up and this is going to cover like all of your sci-fi urban gaming from that point onwards. Really nice terrain set, like I say, beautifully designed, really cleverly put together, really usable, really useful. Yeah, give this one a look over. Supportless printing, you know, these will come out great on, you know, any sort of FDM printer really happily. Like I say, very usable, very modular. One of those sets that's just going to be an absolute workhorse. You're going to keep pulling this out over and over and over again. Yeah, definitely give this one a look over. Okay, so next and last up of our campaigns for this month, we've got Indomitable City Chapter 1 by Generation Minis. So obviously quite often we feature multiple repeat creators on the channel. This is the second campaign from this creator, and their first one sadly didn't actually fund. This one has funded, so it's great to see them having come back and been successful this time. Particularly nice because this terrain set is really fantastic looking. It doesn't look like a first time creators or first time successful creators, let's say, campaign. Loads of detail. So it's basically 3 buildings with a very cyberpunk style feel to them. They really instantly caught my eye as a sort of Blade Runner fan. These feel like they would work perfectly in that sort of style setting. So obviously if you're interested in any of the cyberpunk set games, any of the sort of minis agnostic sci-fi urban style gaming, these are a great set of very thematic buildings that can be put together in a handful of different ways, I think, and have like a good set of options for like physical play, but just very thematic, give a real feel to the tabletop. You know, can make the table very quickly and very easily give that idea of a sort of cyberpunk style world. So yeah, well worth checking out if you're in the market for a sort of Neo Tokyo style thematic tabletop. Okay, that is it for this month. No pay what you want campaign. As I say, loads of campaigns I haven't been able to fit into the roundup this month. This is really sort of, I think, you know, peak Kickstarter at the moment. Tons of stuff going on. You know, because we're now doing a monthly roundup rather than weekly, there are campaigns that I can't get to in between each video. So worth keeping a lookout around now for the next sort of month or two, probably. Even if you're not sort of generally a frequenter of Kickstarter, these are the peak months before we start, you know, going down to trough towards Christmas. So well worth checking out and giving a look over, maybe sort of in between the weeks when the roundup comes out. You know, the next couple of weeks there are going to be some campaigns that aren't going to have a 30-day run that are going to fall off before the next video. So I'd suggest giving a little look over for the next couple of weeks, picking out those short run campaigns, some of which, like I say, I haven't been able to feature and really wish I could have. As usual, this Saturday there's going to be a game design chat with myself and Mike Hutchinson. Next month I'll be back again with another roundup. But for now, from this video, from me, from this roundup, it's a thank you and goodbye. So thank you and goodbye. Bye-bye.